Hey crafty friends, it's Rick. I'm back with another video for Missing Stamps. Today we are going to do some collage stamping, and we're going to be using the personality stamp set. This is the bundle. So you get, in the bundle, you get the personality brave, personality cunning stamp set, plus the personality humble and the personality smart stamp set. We're also going to be using the mini shield and crest mini die set. And we're going to do some old school stamping. I'm going to do, again, we're going to do some collage stamping. So we're going to use the Courage. I've already done the other 3 cards, and I will show you those in just a little while. All right, so we're going to use the Personality Brave set today. And I've already got my pieces cut. I'm going to start off with a piece of just white cardstock, and you want just a smooth white cardstock for stamping. And we are going to use our set, and I'm going old school today and using my blocks. All right, I've picked out 2 colors of ink that will match our project and our house. So I'm going to ink this up, our largest image up first. I just had to re-ink my ink pad, so I'm going to go over to this side. I'm going to stamp that down. Now you could do second generation also if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave that one big image right there. And I'm going to go ahead and move to my next largest image, which would be our Courageous. So I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to stamp it right underneath our lion. Just like that. And then I'll move to the next image that's the largest in our sentiments. Now I do have another idea for this set as well that I'm going to play with. And if it turns out, I will do a video with that. All right, we're going to stamp our next one, which is Strong. Then I will go to our next largest image, our next largest word. And I'm going to come right above our little line. And I could have lined that up a little bit better on our stamp. So we'll go to our next one. I'm going to stamp it. And I'm going to pull in our next word, which is Brave. We're going to stamp it. And now I'm going to come in and stamp it, the second generation right there, and third, and maybe a fourth over there. Okay, we're going to come in with this image. I'm going to stamp it right there. And then we'll stamp it over here and up in here. Just want to kind of add more texture to our page. I'm going to stamp it off several times so we have several generations going there. Okay, we're going to go to our next one. We'll do that image, and I'm going to stamp it a couple times, and I'll stamp it off here and there. Can overlap some of our sentiments as well. Come right there over. That way that generation will go behind our darker one. Start with our little phrases. Put that right there. We'll come in with our generational stamping now. I'm going to work around all these little sentiments. And I'm just switching back and forth between the colors. I try to keep them where they're not the same strength each time. Close to each other. That way it gives us a little bit more interesting pattern. So we'll go ahead and move to our next one that says fair and just. We'll stamp one of those up there. We'll go one down here. I'm going to move on to our next one. And we can just build up our little layers as we go. Just like so. Just keep going. I know it can look like a hot mess to begin with, but actually I found the more you do, the better it actually ends up looking. And we have these teeny tiny little letters as sayings as well. This one's practical, trusting, idealistic. So we can add some of those in. That's why I like doing the full strength plus the generational stampings, because you can stamp the full strength over the ones that are generational. For an added interest. We're going to stamp that one. And since we messed that up royally, that was bad stamping. Go ahead and stamp some generations of those. Have a couple more of our sentiments. Then we're going to start adding in the other images. So we're going to add that there. That over here. I'm going to take our little outline of our little line. I'll ink it up and I will stamp over some of our imagery to build in our pattern. Sure you go off the page as well. We have our little solid image. I'll add a few of those in here and there. Put that over there. We'll add a full strength one over there on that side. Then our last one is our letter G for our panel here. Just fill in some areas to add some of those in there. All right, I'm going to set this to the side for a second, and I have a scrap piece of cardstock. I'm going to take our little circle here, and I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it down on my little scrap piece of cardstock. That's all of our stamping for right now. Well, actually, we'll go ahead and do our little sentiment. So I've got a strip of that same yellow cardstock that I used. I'm going to move these ink pads. I'm going to pull in my VersaFine Claire. And I'm going to pick out one of the sentiments. I'm going to do brave. I'm going to stamp it over to this side. And then we have the you are. I'm going to use that. And I'm going to stamp it over in front of that up at the top. So our sentiment reads, you are brave. All right, we're going to go ahead and cut down our panel here. So I'm going to pull up my trimmer and I'm going to cut this down to 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to trim this down to 5 right there. And then I'll turn it around and do 4 3/4 up at the top. So that gives me a 3 by 3 3/4, 3.5 by 4 3/4 panel. And then I found that a 1-inch circle punch will fit that. It really needs like a 7/8 inch circle punch. 3/4 was too small. And 1 inch is just a little bit big. It gives you a good margin though. So I'm going to use this on the inside of our card. So I've got a top folding card base. And I got some coordinating cardstock for our image. I've cut the yellow layer is 4 3/4 by, I'm sorry, 3 3/4 by 5. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to layer these up together. And my little yellow strip that I stamped on was 3 3/4 inch by 4, or 3 3/4. I'm sorry, 3/4 by 3 3/4. We'll add this on to our red layer. And we can go ahead and attach this to our card base. And I'm going to go ahead and add my little strip into the inside of my card. So we'll just give that to one side over there. And I will trim the excess off. So here's our 3/4 inch by 3 3/4. And then I've got a piece of that red cardstock cut at 1 inch by 4. So we're going to layer these up together. That's going to get layered under our little dragon or lion. I'm going to move that to the side for a second because we're going to do our little shield. I've already cut the white layer out. I used the largest one for the white layer. And now we're going to cut out our other pieces. So we're going to cut our base of our shield out with our yellow. I'm going to grab a scrap of black to cut out our little lion. And then we're going to cut out the red piece. We're going to cut out the little banners from that. So I'll run these through. I'm going to cut him out one more time out of the gold cardstock. I've got my red ink. We're going to add a little bit of ink to our panels, to our little die cut pieces. So add just a little right there on each end of our little part of our crest. I'll do the same thing with the lion and the other part of our crest. I'm going to add a little ink up there, a little to our little lion right there. All right, now we're going to layer everything up. Besides our little gold line, I'm going to save him for something else. We've got our white part of our shield. We're going to go ahead and layer this up with our gold cardstock layer. I chose to do it this way because I could layer them up and that would stand out from our part of our card. Now we've got our little other part of our crest. And you want to pay attention when assembling this. This little part goes right there in that corner. And the round part nestles into that roundness of one of those sides. Okay. And then our little black line, I'm just going to attach down. We'll add a little liquid glue to him. And then he will go in there. All right, for my other parts of our card, I've got a little banner that I've cut out. And 2 strips from that red cardstock and 2 strips of the gold. I'm going to layer this gold onto our red layer. Right like that. One down close to that tip of the banner. And then we're going to add the other strip, but we're going to give it a little bit of spacing and line it up right on there. I wanted to kind of represent like our scarves in our magical houses, but tie that in. So we'll add our other line to it, and it will just go right there. And pull these pieces back in. All right, the first thing we're going to add is our banner right here, and I'm just going to glue this down. And I'm going to glue it up towards the top right here. And then this piece is going to go down straight. So we'll add liquid glue to that. Kind of make my visual triangle. And for this layer, I'm going to pop it up with some foam adhesive. So we'll just pop a few foam squares behind it. I will take these backings off. It's going to go on this side. Now we're going to add a few rhinestones. I'm going to add 2 on our banner. And then we'll add 3 down here on this one. So I've got some red and some goldish yellow rhinestones I'm going to add. So we'll have that one right there. Then I'll have a red one at the top and a gold one at the top of our little banners. But oh no, we're not done yet. I'm going to add just a little bit of highlights to our images. So there's a little bit on our banner. I'm going to add a little bit to our shield and our little line. All right, so there is our Brave card. Now, I did do the other houses as well. Here is my, it is the Cunning one. And then we have our Smart and our Humble cards for each of our houses. So there is all of our cards for each of the magical houses. If you like this video, you're probably going to like the one coming up right over there. I'll see you in that video. Bye, guys. Stay crafty. Love you.